Over the past few years, if there's been one type of video that has always intrigued me, it is fact videos. From the iceberg videos to Did You Know Gaming and so many more fact videos, it's always so cool to see what type of facts are out there. Learning more and more about the franchises I really enjoy is so cool. It's because it means there's more information out there that I had not even heard of. Recently, I've been really getting into Blue Boy Finn's videos on obscure Pokemon trivia and felt really inspired to do one about the game series I love. I have dabbled in trivia myself in a video on my very own channel regarding a glitch I discovered in the Samurai lobby. The glitch is where you would use an amiibo to change to either an Inkling or an Octoling, and the egg you were carrying would become small, and every egg you pick up subsequent to that would be invisible. Sadly though, it has been patched out and you can no longer do this. Dang it, Nintendo, why can't I have this discovery? Jokes aside, I really wanted to do what Blue Boy Finn has done with Pokemon, just with Splatoon, and cover as many obscure facts and trivia regarding this game. And with it being Splatoon 3's 1-year anniversary had come and gone, what better way to celebrate the occasion than having obscure trivia? It works out! If you want to state for the record, I'm going to try and cover as many obscure facts that aren't readily talked about as possible. So, things like the creepy boss room noises, the creepy laughing statues during Splatfest on Museum, the fact that all the shifty stations in Splatoon 2 are named after books, and the fact that Splatoon 2 and 3 have reversible covers. Those are already well documented to the point where I feel like what's been said has already been said, and I wanted to focus on more facts that little to no one has talked about before. Even then, I still want to address some of these facts, but just give them a quick honorable mention here. With all that out of the way, I welcome you all to strange Splatoon stuff. To start things off, I want to go over some quick fire facts that, while somewhat known, aren't as common knowledge as the ones mentioned in my honorable mentions. The first fact involves color lock. If you turn on color lock and then go to fight Fry, she will be blue as opposed to her usual yellow, and this works for regardless of which color lock you use. Another somewhat well-known fact is the giant Jumbotron in Splatoon 3's lobbies is actually a Switch tablet. Here you can see the dock/charger port and where the Joy-Con slide. Yet another somewhat known fact is how the lockers have different depending on what type of locker it is. It's a really cute attention to detail. There's also the matter of alternate splatted by messages whenever you are splatted. The most well-known of these being splatted by roller or crushed by roller, such as if you are splatted by the Inkjet's exhaust. My favorite is personally hit by curling bomb, because it just sounds so passive-aggressive. It's like, it didn't blow you up, it just smacked you and you died by it. It's just so funny. One of the most rare is the death by Anchovy Games propeller. I think what makes this fact even more funny is the fact that it's actually acknowledged in universe by Marina. The fact that she literally tells you to avoid it, even though this is probably the rarest way you'll die, is just so hilarious to me. Like, There is no way you're going to see this message under normal circumstances. You would either have to be in a private battle or squid partying in Turf War to see it. Because there's no way you're actually dying by this in a real match. The second to last fact of this section, how fist bumps work. Now, on the surface, they seem quite simple. You and someone else must get 3 gold medals and be next to each other. You not only have to be close to someone with the 3, but your emotes have to be compatible. How do you know what emotes are compatible with each one? Well, here's a few charts I've found, and my list will be in the description below. So, not only do you have to get 3 gold medals, not only do you have to be close to the other person who got 3, but you have to make sure that your emotes are compatible. Thanks, Nintendo. Very cool. And now, time for the most important fact of this whole section.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for!
Did you guys know Wahoo World has a timer? If you look closely, you can see the timer is counting down. When the timer runs out, the road will detract and indicate a red X, and the stage will begin to spin in the middle. This also has a timer that will count down. As you can see, it's counting down and the spin is going on. Once the timer is run out, the road will come back and you can go back into the middle and see the Wahoo World Bowl. God bless the Wahoo World Bowl. Okay, alright, let's actually get back to cool facts. If there's one mode I feel goes overlooked, it's Tableturf. Most I feel only play it to get to the card shark emo and then never touch it again. And it's quite a shame because it's a really fun side mode. There's a lot of exciting details for both the cards and the game itself. For starters, some interesting fact regarding the decks opponents use. The most obvious being Little Judd and his deck being themed around Salmon Run, but there's even more than that. With Callie and Marie, they have a few Easter eggs. To start things off, Callie mostly uses roller cards, while Marie uses charger cards, in reference to a weapon of choice, which is the Hero Roller and Hero Charger, respectively. Not only that, there's also more cool little secrets. Callie uses a DJ Octavia card, and Marie uses a Sheldon card, in reference to who they team up with during Splatoon 2's campaign. And Callie's deck further cements this by having a lot of Octarians in her deck. Annie probably has the most subtle detail with her deck. See, one of her cards is the amped Octo Samurai, which is notable for having headphones. This is most likely a reference to how she was originally depicted in Splatoon 1. As you can see, she had headphones. Shelly has an interesting quirk with their deck. See, their gimmick is using both the vanilla kit cards and the alternate kit of said card, in reference to the fact that they are twins running the shop. Fred Crumbs is interesting. It's not what is in his deck, it's what isn't in his deck. See, the Inkopolis shop owners all use their Splatsville counterparts in their deck. All except one of them. Yeah, Fred Crumbs will never use a Mr. Coco card. Doesn't have one in his deck. Located in several locations throughout the hub world, you can find many players that are just holding up cards. By talking to them, you can actually challenge them. They will always be holding 4 cards, no matter what. These 4 cards will always be the same, and these 4 cards are Prize Stringer, Stamper, Small Fry, and Trizuka. In an update, they will allow you to fight your friends in Tableturf online now. If a fight is going on, you can actually spectate others, however, there will be a display if you are not actually spectating the match. And there are some interesting things about this. If you look closely, you can see the Callie card and this Judd card being used. Throughout this section so far, you've been hearing a song from Tableturf, and it was composed in-universe by none other than Anchovy Games. Yes, that Anchovy Games. While we currently do not know the creator of Tableturf, it it's most likely that, much like the music, it was made by Anchovy Games. Given they have made the previous game's main minigame, very possible it was them. Heck, it could be this game that Turtle Marina were alluding to being perpetually delayed. Given Splatoon loves its continuity, it's very much possible it could be. Tableturf is also affected by Splatfest. Jellyfish forms will actually change to reflect the 3 teams being played. Not only that, but it also affects who you can challenge. See, in Splatsville, you can't challenge Deep Cut while Splatfest is going on. Meanwhile, you can challenge the Squid Sisters. And this works in reverse in Inkopolis. One disappointing thing though is, unlike the jellyfish, they do not resemble their Splatfest colors at all, and instead use their default colors. When they updated the max rank for Tableturf going from 50 to 999, they actually updated the victory animation. Before it was just a simple little splash animation that indicated that you had won, but now it's much more dynamic with confetti. Personally, I prefer the newer one because I felt the old one was kind of lacking, so having this new animation really cool. The last thing I want to mention before I move on to the cards themselves is, unlike other PvP modes where the game will just choose a team that wins if a tie happens, a tie is 100% achievable in Tableturf, and going up against a character opponent, they will actually acknowledge it was a draw by the dialogue, although the game will still count it as if you had lost the match, despite it being a draw. Now onto the cards themselves, and there is quite a bit to go over, so let's get started. For starters, a lot of the artwork is based on Splatoon 1 artwork of the weapons. Here are a few examples. Splatshot Jr., L3 Nautilus, which by the way is the only weapon card to detect a sub-weapon from PvP. I say PvP because Hero Shot has Small Fry. Yes, he is a sub-weapon. The 96 Gal, and Zap85. Chest Sculpture having the same gear loadout, and Check's Splatter Shot, which replaced the Zuka with Triple Link Strike. Speaking of that, it is the only weapon card to have a special being shown as of 5.0. Rabbit Blaster, and Bamboozler 14 Mach 1. Now, there's actually a cool little thing about this. Based on Splatoon 1 artwork, it has the ponytail pulls. Something that only the legendary hat from 1 had. As in Splatoon 2 and 3, they removed this. Now, I have a slight headcanon to this as to why. See, there is a Captain's hat that still has the ponytail on it, and that's the Captain 3 has that was Cuttlefish hat, as confirmed by dialogue in game. Given the fact that Grisco is the one who makes the Cap of Legend and the legendary Tuttle gear, it might be that the Cap of Legend is a counterfeit. Alright, enough headcanon. Now back to actual facts about the cards. Some cards actually feature gear items that aren't currently available in the game, starting with the Mini Splatling, which features the red cuddle gear long sleeve for Splatoon 2. The Splattershot Pro card has the SWAT Nation lace-ups, and the Ballpoint Splatling is a double whammy because it has not one but two, that being the positive long cuff sweater and red power stripes, the latter of which was actually shown off in official 3 artwork. Which, side note, this same artwork depicts Octo King HK jersey, which is not in the game yet. Also, the card itself is actually based on this promotional image from Splatoon 2. Recently, Nintendo added Tableturf icons to the Switch's NSO. However, if you look closely, a lot of them looked off. Yeah, a lot of them featured designs that were either mistakes or early versions of said cards. Early eye design, which the eye design on the blaster kind of resembled Marina, an umbrella, and classic Swiffer using designs not seen anywhere in the series, and cards like Upbattle and Slosher using their Splatoon 2 designs. And if you want to see all of them, I highly recommend the cutting room floor. Now, of course, Nintendo would eventually catch wind of it. However, there is a loophole to this. If your icon had an error and you didn't change it, you will still have the wrong design. Funnily enough, it actually does show the corrected design if you go to the icons in the NSO section. On the topic of alternate design, throughout the hub world, there you can see these posters depicting the Tableturf Cards. Most of them are normal. However, if you go to the show and look closely at one of them, you can actually see the Dynamo roller cards design holding the gold Dynamo before we even got the gold Dynamo roller in the game. Meaning the gold Dynamo card was going to have the gold Dynamo originally. And this, I don't need to speculate because this has been outright confirmed. But while we're talking about early designs, let's talk about this card right here. The Killer Whale 5.1. It's not because of the card itself, but it's holding. That is a sloshing machine. Despite us having two sloshing machines in the game right now, neither of them have it, as they have Booyah and Trizuka respectively. However, we know this was going to be the case originally, as early screenshots depict the sloshing machine with the Killer Whale 5.1. Leaving this the only remnant of this beta kit. Now, speaking of early designs, found in the data of 1.0.0 were early versions of the Tableturf icon. It has the mini Splatling and Octo Troop, and early versions of both of these icons were found in the files. And there's quite to go over, so I'm going to go over each of them individually. The mini Splatling card has a lot of subtle differences. For starters, the earlobes being detailed, the expression and the ink tank being somewhat different, as it has a detailed design. But what's most notable here is what is on that ear. That is the Eminence Cup, a gear item that was exclusive to the Japanese copies of Splatoon 2, as it was a part of the Emperor outfit, which was based on the Splatoon manga. Octo Trooper has a lot. For starters, just look at it, hand-drawn. None of the Octarian cards are hand-drawn, with the exception of DJ Octavia, meaning this could have been the potential plan for the Octarian cards at one point. The second is its design. It's not fuzzy at all. In fact, it resembles how the Oct Troopers looked in Splatoon 1 and 2. At one point, they may have just used the default designs rather than the fuzzy ones. Now, onto the final fact of this section, and that's name of cards. Tower Control Tower used to just be called Tower Control. This can even be seen in the Splatoon 3 Direct. Given that it's called Tower Control Tower in the locker menu, and as it is the tower, and Tower Control is just the name of the mode, they probably changed it to make it more obvious of what it is. There is one more card that had renamed, and that was one that was actually shown in the Nintendo UK of the Drizzle season. See, if you look closely at the cards, the Inkline Tri-Stringer was first called Tri-Stringer Collab. This was most likely a placeholder name because this was the first Inkline sponsorship, as we can see Torella Bella and the Ballpoint Splatling logo having their full names. Alright, let's talk about some other modes now. In every Splatoon game, there has always been a single-player component. The devs have confirmed that this is primarily to teach the player how to play, it being a mostly truncated tutorial of sorts. However, in Octo expansion they added more variety to it, such as one-shotting balloons, fighting bosses with specials, and of course everyone's favorite. Thankfully, Return of the Mammalians did carry over a lot of the variety, such as the infinite specials, but it did still have levels dedicated to teaching the player how to play. Now, in this part, I will be focusing on the bosses and focusing on the levels next time. To start off our boss-specific facts, we will be looking at the Mr. Grizz fight. For starters, the first fact actually starts before you even fight Mr. Grizz. If you throw a curling bomb just as you're about to enter the cutscene where you find out what happened to Cuttlefish, you can actually see it go off. mid-cutscene. Now, this isn't the only time this can happen. In fact, you can do it during the DG Octavia fight too, but I think it's the easiest one to do here, and it's kind of mood whiplash, like, oh, Cuttlefish is dead, but hey, your bomb went off. The next one involves when Small Fry becomes Huge Fry. See, at the beginning of the game, you're able to customize how Small Fry looks with his hairdo, and that actually carries over into the design of Huge Fry. He actually carries over the hairstyle you've chosen for him when he becomes Huge Fry. Here's an example of all of the hairstyles. Upon defeating Mr. Grizz, if you remain idle, Small Fry can actually sing Happy Little Workers alongside Calamari Incantation. Please listen. Speaking of remaining idle, if you remain idle in the rocket intermissions, you can actually hear a human announcing the imminent rocket launch. A lot of things are affected after beating Return of the Mammalians. However, since a lot of them affect the hub world, I'll be talking about that a lot in part 2. Once you've beaten Mr. Grizz, you have the option to skip the phases and skip right to the ending. While this is definitely meant for replayability, that way you don't have to replay it constantly, this actually does have a kind of a funny oversight, question mark. If you skip when there's dialogue going on, it actually lingers into his death cutscene, which is kind of funny when they're telling you what to do while Mr. Grizz is about to blow up. Also, while we're here, I just want to appreciate this little DJ Octavia logo. The final fact for Mr. Grizz is actually a really cool thing. See, in all the Splatoon games single player, there's been a feature that was originally in the single player only that then got carried over into PvP in the same game. In Splatoon 1, it was Kelp Dome and Bluefin were playable in the single player before becoming PvP stages. In Splatoon 2, you were able to play with the Umbrella before it was able to be played in PvP. And 3 probably has the most subtle. See, when you reach the second phase of Mr. Grizz, you can see Calamari Incantation 3 mix in the bottom right corner. Well, in a later update, they added the ability to see the song name while you're in a PvP match. I even double checked to make sure that this wasn't added later on in this update, and yeah, it's been there since day one. Although the one in Mr. Grizz's fight is not as detailed as the one that would later be in PvP, as it only lists the name of the song instead of the artist who did it, as you can see in the jukebox version of the song. But the idea is still there. It's just really cool that this has happened in every game. If you fight a boss that stalks you and then fight them again later on, their dialogue will actually be changed to accommodate for the rematch. This has been the case ever since the first game, DJ Octavia fight, and it's been a trend ever since. If you want to know what all of the rematch dialogue is, I'm going to be uploading a video showcasing this alongside this. Now, this does not apply to bosses that don't talk to you, like the Octo and other, or bosses you remember fighting, like the Commander Tartar fight. I mentioned earlier that color lock will affect the Fry fight, as she will be blue as opposed to her usual yellow. What I didn't mention, however, is that color lock actually does affect the other two members of Deep Cut, just in much different ways. Let's start with Big Man. Usually when you fight him, he has this yellow and greenish ink color, which is a reference to the electric goop from Mario Sunshine, as the whole Big Man fight is one big tribute to Manta Manta fight from Mario Sunshine. You'll love to see it.
What's even cooler is his title, the Hype Manta Storm, is in reference to the level you fight the Phantom Manta being called the Manta Storm. Again, you'll love to see it. Anyway, once color lock is turned on, you will instead be encased in blue ink as opposed to the greenish blue, and his ink color will be blue throughout the fight.
Also, while we're here talking about the big man fight, I find it funny that now, while we're talking about the big man fight, I just want to mention this. What makes the reference of Mario Sunshine even funnier is, during the development of Splatoon 1, Nogami was asked if Sunshine had any influence on Splatoon, to which he said he forgot. Which makes this whole reference that much more funnier, because it seems like the Splat devs really want to redeem themselves for admitting they forgot about Mario Sunshine. Yeah, love to see it.
What's weird is the aura around him will still be green, despite everything else about him being blue. Now, if you have the Get Sensor, Better Sensor ability equipped, it completely breaks the big man fight, as it will just straight up tell you which Phantom Manta he is, indicated by a purple reticle as opposed to the usual yellow. Also, when I was getting footage for this fight, I landed in ink after I landed, and the game automatically painted my feet. I thought that was worth noting. As for Shiver, Shiver is easily the hardest one to tell, because looking at footage side by side, you could probably not even tell which one has color lock on and which doesn't. It's almost 1-to-1. However, it becomes very clear which one it is later on in the fight. When you stun her, both her and Master Mega will be dizzy. However, if color lock is turned off, their dizzy stars will be blue. However, if color lock is turned on, their dizzy stars will be yellow. At first, I thought this was placebo, like when I was getting footage, I thought it was just placebo. But then, I went back later on and to see my footage, and then I saw this. Yeah, as you can see in the screenshot side by side, that yes, this was indeed the case. I did some research, and I cannot find this anywhere documented, so I think I discovered something. Neat, I guess? Also, this victory pose you do after you defeat Shiver is based on the Hero Shot replica artwork from the first game. You thought we were done talking about that? Well, you thought wrong! And I guess you also do this pose after doing the upkick crouch, which I would call out, but given other poses from the single player come up in multiplayer, like the 100x battle, I don't really mind it. But it's just one of those things where that Drizzle season catalog is not being the reuse allegations. Before we get off the deep cut talk, if you have the special charge up powers abilities unlocked, you can actually get a splashdown ready before you even enter the fight. Now on to other bosses. Let's talk about one of my personal favorites, the Octo Samurai. After the fight, he actually has a cute little animation upon his defeat. This is actually a reference to in Splatoon 2, where if you were down in the sand run, it would play this animation. There's actually a cute little detail in every fight with the Octo Stamp in Splatoon 2. There's actually a running gag. Every time it has a title,
it will reflect that it's a returning boss and acknowledge the jack.
So something I also really like is they reference the fact that Agent 3 had fought one in both fights. I thought that's really cool. Speaking of Agent 3 though, a cool little detail you can do in the Agent 3 fight. While in the fight, Captain Cuttlefish is tied to Agent 3's UFO, and you can actually spray him with ink. I just thought that's a cute little detail. Also, you can spray them after the fight as well. I was curious. Although, while we're on the topic of Agent 3, let's talk about the other Agent 3 fight. During the inner Agent 3 fight, during their first phase, Agent 3 will always enter the inkjet. However, what's notable about this is their inkjet does not tell you when they're landing. This is because, much like other cases in single player, patch notes that address PvP do not contribute to single player. I'll go over that more in detail in the next part though. I just thought that was worth mentioning. After defeating Octavia in both Splatoon 1 and 2, he will actually talk upside down. Why am I bringing this up? Well, if you defeat him in Splatoon 3, despite him being in the same situation as he was in both Splatoon 1 and 2, his dialogue will not be upside down. I don't know why this is the case, but given the fact that the crater is supposed to be one big parody of both Splatoon 1 and 2's campaign, I think it was just to really give the sense of, yeah, this isn't really the final fight. On the topic of Octavia fights though, let's talk about the DJ Octavia fight from Splatoon 2. Not many people talk about this fight, mostly because, well, it's super easy. But there's actually a lot of interesting oddities and interesting facts that come along with it. For starters, there's a bizarre oddity that can happen during the fight is Marie's text box will change throughout the fight, going from her kimono look to her Squid Sister look. What's bizarre is, even after all this, it does flip-flop between her kimono look and Squid Sister look. For example, this line here is supposed to be before she gets there, but she's using her Squid Sister outfit. And after she shows up, they're still using her kimono. And what makes this oddity even stranger is, it's like this in the original fight as well. And it wasn't just because of the Rematch Dialogue. Next comes with a truck. See, when Marie shows up, her truck will be in the background, driven by Sheldon. However, it's actually a funny little quirk with how the truck works. It will actually follow where the player is looking, meaning you can manipulate where it's going. And this also works during the rail riding phase. I even tried to do it while DJ Octavia was attacking, and he actually killed me, so behold, the first ever documentation of someone dying to DJ Octavia fight in Splatoon 2. Gotta give credit where credit's due, I guess. As for other facts regarding this fight, in the background, you can actually see replicas of the Shinuki statue and Fox statue in the background of the fight. A neat detail is, once Callie snaps out of her hypnosis, the lights shooting from the statues will change, going from purple to the colors of the Squid Sisters. Also, the crowd also changes their light sticks from purple to the Squid Sister colors as well. Speaking of the crowd though, they will swing their glow sticks differently each phase of the fight. Although, I wanted to test something as well. See, in all the other final bosses of the campaigns, there's always been a move that's been consistent. The Killer Whale from Splatoon 1. Both DJ Octavia in Splatoon 1 and Mr. Grizz use a variation of it in their boss fights, and in Octo expansion it's used as the catalyst to help defeat Commander Tartar. But I wanted to see if it was really true that he didn't use a killer whale. And I did a one run where I just goofed around, and yeah, he doesn't. However, I did learn a lot of things during this testing. For starters, if he's in the ground, he will not get up no matter what. Take a look at this.
Also, I learned that the showering attack he does that in phase 1 instead of phase 2. The more you know.
The last fact I want to talk about
Regarding Octavia
is right before you deal the final blow in the rematch, Callie and Marie will talk about how they need to call Cuttlefish. However, Marie will retort that, but Gramps doesn't have a phone. We'll have to send him a telegraph. On Octo expansion, we can clearly see he has a phone, meaning he got a phone specifically to stay in contact with his granddaughter. Oh, that's super wholesome. I really hope he doesn't text some stupid things with that phone of his.
And so this video comes to a close, and to think, this is only part 1. Like I said, I felt inspired to do a video like this, so I hope you all enjoyed. This was going to be all one video, but having to rewrite the script a total of 6 times, 3 for Drizzle season alone, I decided to split it into parts. As of now, there will be 3 parts, but it has the potential to slip into a 4th depending on the length of how the sections play out. As of now, plan for part 2 is we will finish up the single player, cover the stages and modes of PvP, hub world, as well as the training area. Part 3 will be focusing on weapons, gear, and stamina. When will these parts come out? I'm not sure, as this video took a lot of work and research to do, so I might hold off on them, especially with how much I had to rewrite for Drizzle season. I might just wait till later seasons to post them. That way my facts can be up to date, and to also make sure the scripting process doesn't feel like pushing a boulder up a hill. But since I don't know when these parts will come out, I will leave you guys with a sneak peek of sorts. I'll take a fact I will talk about in part 2 and part 3 and feature it here to kind of give you a glimpse of what to expect. For part 2 sneak peek, did you know on Barnacle and Dime during the last minute of matches in PvP, sprinklers will turn on? And for the part 3 sneak peek, did you know that in Splatoon 3, for some bizarre reason, the ballpoint splatling will make every character have the feminine idle animation, regardless if you're masculine or feminine, when this wasn't the case in Splatoon 2. All of this facts and more will be featured in the later parts. I hope you look forward to that. So feel free to give me feedback in the comments. I don't do videos like this often, so I'd like to hear where I can improve on them in the future. Not only that, but if you have any facts you want to let me know about, feel free to let me know them as well, as I want to see if I can try and turn this into a potential series on my channel I do every once in a while. All the sources I use for this video will be in the description below for you to check out. Also, shoutouts to CJS001, Mossy, Anime Girl, and Liam W for helping me get private battle footage for this video. Their socials will be linked in the description below as well. With all that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the wild side. Take care. Wait, that official artwork I showed to depict the 1 year anniversary. Zoom in on that. That's the green or a gear item not in the game.